Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm a registered massage therapist and certified yoga instructor, as well as a coach and fitness trainer. And I'm here to just put you through a little 15-20 minute kind of mobility flow for our hips and lower body. Start in a tall seat here. As you can see, I am just seated on a block. If that feels comfortable and you have something like that available, great. If not, no problem. Maybe grab a couple books or just get yourself in a comfortable spot on the floor. You can always fold the big pillow in half, tuck that under your bum. You can have your legs straight out in all sort of kneeling position here, kind of crossed in front like I just was, whatever feels good for you. And just get settled here, feeling those sit bones deeper onto the ground. We're gonna work a little bit through the hips, the hip flexors, and kind of that lower back around the glutes. Just get everything mobilized and moving a little bit more through here. So take a moment and just take a few breaths easy. Feeling the chest and the rib cage rise and fall. Let the shoulders relax away from the ears and let the hip bones sink deeper into whatever it is that's supporting you, whether it's the ground or a block or a pillow or some books. Just let everything sink a little deeper. Slowly bring your attention into your body. You can close your eyes or just keep a soft gaze ahead of you. In through the nose, out through the mouth, if that feels appropriate in your body. Maybe make some audible sighs as you begin to turn your mind inwards, turn your attention into your body. Just get a sense of how your hips are feeling. Do they feel tight? Do they feel tense? Do they feel off kilter? Do they feel stuck, stiff? Just notice those feelings. Maybe if you're healing from an injury or have had an injury in the past, there's sort of something diffuse there, like where you have trouble connecting to that area. Just notice that and take a few breaths just with that feeling, and then let that settle. Maybe switch to just breathing in and out of the nose. Let everything be a little more quiet. On an inhale, start to open your eyes if they're closed. And just give yourself a little massage, just really gently through the hips and the quads. Just feel your body, feel the muscles, maybe the fabric of your clothing or your skin if you've got shorts on, and just get a sense, do you feel any areas of tension? I know in my body, my hip flexors here are feeling very tight and stuck. My quads are a little tender. And just kind of rub your hands up and down your legs. Again, we're just kind of getting a tactile sense of ourselves. couple deep breaths here. Just give yourself a little bit of nurturing touch here. Your legs and feet carry you all over the place. And just let your arms settle, your hands rest on top of the thighs or maybe down towards the ground or the mat. Palms can be face up or face down, whatever feels best for you. Once again, come to sit up tall and just take a couple more intentional breaths here as we continue to sort of feel into our body. One more breath here to get grounded. And release. We'll start by just coming into an all fours position here, hands and knees. If this is a bit much on your wrists, you can either drop down to your elbows or find, again, that pillow or block or something that gives you a little more extra support through the wrists. So you can bring the hands a little bit more forward here and just find yourself a little bit more supported. We don't need to strain those wrists. So on hands and knees here, I just want you to kind of rock back and forth. Just rocking back and forth, kind of breathing. I like to keep my toes tucked under so that as my bum is heading towards my heels, I'm getting a little bit of a stretch through the plantar fascia, through the bottoms of the feet. And then just start to rock side to side too. All we're doing here is just getting some movement into our body, sort of feeling things. Maybe you're noticing that your belly is kind of slowly sinking towards the earth. Bring that back up, kind of bring some control into the rib cage here and just support the ribs through the spine. Sort of swaying the hips and combine those movements. So now we're making some circles through the hips here in one direction. You can untuck those toes if that feels better for you. One more this way here and opposite direction. So again, if you were on forearms, really similar. We're just kind of moving a little bit more through the chest and shoulders as well. Couple more rounds here. Again, notice what the rib cage might be doing while you're doing this, and even what your chin might be doing. Maybe it's kind of jutting out. Just bring a little bit of connection and awareness there. Tuck the chin in a little bit. One more circle here. Maybe you're getting some little creaks and cracks like I am. Just notice that. That's okay, as long as nothing's painful. Onto our all fours here. We're just gonna slowly lift the right leg back, extending it and just lifting it up to the ceiling and then bringing it out to the side and reversing that motion. Bring the toes back down, bring the knee forward, touch the elbow, and then pushing it all the way back and out. Extension, bring it out to the side, toes down, knee coming forward up to the elbow, sending it back, foot up, out to the side, and again here, scooping forward, knee back, extending, and out to the side, and coming back in here. Try it on the other side, foot out to the back, lifting that leg, extending, sending it out to the side, and then just reversing that movement all the way through, scooping through, touching the elbow, left leg to left elbow, and then sending it backwards here. Heel to the back wall, and then bringing the foot towards the side wall in any range of motion. Doesn't have to be huge, whatever feels available to you in your body. Sending that leg back for extension, feeling those glutes fire, a little bit of activation through the side. And just notice if you're really wobbly here, or if you can try to keep your core in a little bit more of a neutral position here. And bringing that leg all the way through and just let it come back. Give the wrists a moment here. Just roll it out a couple times. And then Let's get onto our forearms here. Bring that other side again. So this time I'm using my right hip, and we're just going to do some circles here. If you want to move back to on your hands, that's totally appropriate. Whatever feels good for you here. We're just doing a few circles through the hips, whatever range of motion. We want to make it as big as is comfortable for you. And then we're going to reverse that. Really thinking about some internal and external rotation here. So my whole femur is moving. You'll see that kind of the knee is sort of jutting out, making it big, and then kind of scooping in towards the other leg. One more circle on this side, whatever pace feels good for you. I'm going to switch up into my hands here. Again, stick with forearms if that feels good. And going on the left side now, just circling that leg in whatever direction feels good, in however much range of motion is available to you. Think about being stable through the upper body here, so I'm not splaying through the ribs. I'm staying nice and kind of neutral and lightly engaged through the core. And reverse which direction you're going. Make those circles a little bigger if you can, whatever range of motion is available to you. Maybe you're feeling kind of that core ignite as we're having a little bit of balance and stability through here. Really trying to get that internal and external rotation going through the hips. Let's do one more big circle on this side. Good. And relax. Just send the hips towards the ankles and coming into sort of this child's pose here. If that's not quite available for you, again, use a pillow or something like that so that your bum can become a little bit more closer to your feet, and then just sending the body forward, letting the forehead relax a little bit here, and just taking a breath for everything to settle in. Just waiting a moment. And on an inhale, coming up, and just swing your body around so you're in a little bit of a seat here, and I'm going to get you to do sort of a 90-90 position. So I've got my left leg in front of me here, making 90 degrees, and my right leg is sort of turned in here, also making 90 degrees. So I've got my legs in this kind of funky little shape here. My thigh bone and my lower leg bone are parallel with one another here, and then this again is 90 degrees, and I'm 90 degrees out from my hips here. So I'm just going to take a moment to sort of get everything settled in here. If this is really awkward or you're finding that you can't get that glute down, put a pillow or a block, anything that you need to sort of bring the earth up to you so that you can feel like you can get grounded and get supported here. Keeping the toes and the feet flexed, and then try to sit up. So if you're having trouble and you're feeling like your low back is getting grounded through here, again, use a block or a bolster to get underneath your hips so that you can have some of that elevation through here. We don't want to be slumped with our pelvis tucked underneath. We want to get nice and tall. So here we are in this 90-90 position here. And what I'm going to get you to do might be a little tricky with a block. So just work it out how it needs to. We're just going to start to rotate side to side, really slow, and just bring in a little bit of movement here. So I'm just kind of rolling through my hips and feet. Now, the position doesn't look perfect as I'm going back and forth, and that's okay. It's more just about finding some internal rotation here through the hips, that external rotation, and then bringing those movements together. I also find that while I'm doing this, my body tends to scooch a little forward. So if you need to sort of reset and center yourself, just notice that. And that's kind of, our body's just giving us feedback in that instance. It's easier for us to kind of compensate and travel somewhere perhaps while we're doing this. Couple more times. Beautiful. Now just stay on the opposite side that you started on. So we spent a couple extra seconds there. Again, grab a block or a bolster if you need. Support yourself in any way and just let everything relax as much as possible. Take another breath here. And then I'll get you to rotate those legs so that we're kind of in that sort of middle position here. And this is where you definitely want to maybe get up onto a block or whatever feels good. You might need a few at this point. We're going to walk our feet in as close as possible and just give ourselves a hand if you need it. This is a really good exercise to try if you have like a railing or something really secure that you can also hang on to as well, if that range of motion isn't available for you. What we're going to do is we're just going to start to rock forward and then bring ourselves up. So we're sitting down as much as possible and then rock forward and bringing ourselves up. Getting down towards the block in a nice, juicy, wide-legged squat and then up, using those leg muscles. Down, getting into some blocks. If you have a few blocks or like a big stack of books, bring it up to you. I don't care if it's up here and you're getting down to this motion and then coming back up, that's perfect. Just whatever feels good and maybe pain-free for you in your range of motion right now. One more here. And come into a more standing position. And bringing the legs quite wide, we're going to get into a side lunge here. So we're coming down as much as that range is available for you. This is a lot of range to get into, so if it's not available, no worries. Once, like I said with that other exercise, bring the floor to you, stack things up beneath your bum, or come into kind of this half position here. We're just going to do a few reps on each side, but I would love if you can challenge yourself to try and get down towards the ground, bum onto the ground, and then we're gonna push ourselves up and all the way open. This is just something to work towards. And then this other, right now I'm on my right leg and this left leg is just kind of along. I'm sort of challenging myself by keeping my toes onto the ground, and then with awareness, I'm sort of curling that foot open and then coming back and replacing and planting it down. So keeping that range, I'm sending my bum to the ground, and then this is kind of core and hips and everything's getting activated to move in on up. Let's do one more repetition. If yours are looking like this, that's beautiful. Just go where it's pain-free, keeping that foot there. If this is where you're at, that's perfect. And switch sides. So coming on to loading the left side, coming all the way down if it's available for you, and then using a little bit of a rocking momentum to sort of move the hips and legs up. We're really getting into some juicy spots here, just opening the body, challenging the legs and the hips. And again, if this is looking like just sort of this half repetition here, and that's where you stop, that's perfect, that's great. Keep up with that and just move at your own pace for whatever feels good for your body. We're just challenging the hips here, getting into ranges of motion that aren't utilized as much in our daily living. Do one more here. Perfect. And just take a moment to kind of wiggle the legs if you need to, roll your shoulders. Just take a breath and sort of reset the body. Feel the feet ground in. And just letting everything settle. Last one here. I'm going to get you to take a step forward. Really think about planting the toes, and then just slowly We're gonna kind of aim to touch the ground almost with a little bit, and we're bringing in a hip hinge here. So I'll get to it from the side here. And so use this foot like a kickstand if you're a little bit unsure about your balance. So what that looks like is that I'm coming through here and then pushing through the balls and heels of my foot, and then just using this as more of a kickstand as support. Without that, I want to make sure that my hip is staying over the foot, nice and slow, and then just kind of coming all the way back up. So we're hinging. If you have something like a desk or a chair in front of you that you sort of want to, you don't want to get all the way down to the ground, but you want to hit something, maybe your water bottle or that block, then please do use that. Couple more on this side. Last one here. Beautiful. Switch sides. So for me, that was on my left foot. If you did your right to start, that's totally fine. Just switch onto whatever opposite foot. So right now I've got my right hand forward, my right foot forward, my left foot back. And again, if you need more of that kickstand, you can have your stance fairly wide too to give yourself a really nice base of support as you're going through this. What's most important is we really just want to get into that hip hinge. So sending the hips back, activating through the glutes and the hamstrings. If it's available to you, send that leg floating, really getting a little bit of core activation, lighting those hamstrings up, feeling through the glutes. Do 2 more here. Really pushing through the ball and the heel of the foot, sending those hips back, getting a nice kind of spring motion through the legs here. All right, and last one, get you to slowly come down as much as possible. You know, if you're stuck here, that's fine. Then just crumple. We're just gonna lay on the floor to finish up here, but if you can, try to be mindful how you're getting to the floor, and then letting the body slowly fall to relax and release. Before we fully get relaxed, we're just gonna let the knees fall in each direction. So my legs here about mat width apart, just rocking side to side. Just slight of a gentler movement of that 90-90 that we did earlier. Nice gentle stretch here. And then the very last thing before we relax, I'll get you to bring your knees 90 degrees, legs 90 degrees up here. Bring a little bit of engagement into the core. So just being mindful, making sure that rib cage isn't really splayed and that this pelvis isn't like super tucked or super splayed up here. We're in more of this kind of natural neutral spine, bringing our legs up. You can also do this one at a time. Actually, I would prefer you do this one at a time. My apologies. So I've got my left leg down and all I'm doing is just rotating the thigh bone here. So rotating here, trying to keep this sort of as straight as possible, and just a few rotations through the leg. And switch it up. So left leg up, just rotating side to side, making sure that that knee isn't getting super wobbly, that is coming from the rotation at the hip. All right, let that go. If it feels good for you, you can put a block underneath your pelvis. Sometimes I find this is a easier way to let my hamstrings really relax, or sorry, my hip flexors really relax and release. Also the hamstrings through the back of the leg. And just let everything sort of start to sink deeper into the floor. Taking a few breaths here. Maybe just noticing any sort of vibrancy, sensations, different things that your legs or hips might be feeling as we've sort of opened up some new neural pathways. Excuse me. Created room for a little bit more range of motion, some more mobility that's nourishing to the hips. Maybe slide the legs long. If this feels a little bit hard on your low back with the block underneath you, please just get rid of that block. Try with the body completely flat. If this feels good, take a bit of a reprieve or maybe an extra stretch through the hip flexors. You're welcome to join me here. Just let the legs fall. Let the back leg muscles be heavy. Let the feet and ankles just release and relax. And that concludes our time together. I thank you very much for joining me today, and thank yourself for taking the time to mobilize and move your body, get some new range of motion, being open to some different movements, and just taking the time out of your day to help move your body and give yourself some nourishment.